the Sun conjunct Pluto, January 21st, 2025, seeding the revolution, or in our personal lives, seeding the evolution. Hello, my name is Eliane-Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot reader, and in this video, I am going to talk about the Sun conjoining Pluto, god of the underworld, January 21st, in the sign of Aquarius at 1 degree for the first time in what will be an annual conjunction over the next 20-year arc. And I want to talk about what that means for the evolution of humanity, for the evolution of America, and for what it can mean in the evolution of our own personal lives and our individual charts as well. First, I want to say, if you're watching this on Instagram, I'm just going to post the first couple minutes here. The entire video will be available on my YouTube channel, Eliane-Nicole. My YouTube channel is my name, Eliane-Nicole. Please find me there. I will put a link in the profile bio of my Instagram to get there. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Please like, please comment, please share. It helps me in the algorithm, helps me grow my community, helps me grow my business, and puts me in a position to continue to give these free astrological offerings. If you're watching this on Instagram, please make sure that you are following astrology.tarot.Eliane-Nicole. Please like, please comment, please share. It's free for you, very helpful to me. And now, without further ado, I am going to talk about this very powerful, very meaningful conjunction of the Sun and Pluto in Aquarius. If you've been following my astrology, you know that Pluto moved into Aquarius November 19th for a 20-year arc. Pluto is the outermost planet in the solar system that we use in birth chart interpretations, and Pluto takes 248 years to circle the sun, so whole generations are born with Pluto in the same sign. So in our birth charts, a lot of the times it has to do more with what we have in common with our generation than with our own personal psychology or life. However, if you're born with Pluto in an aspect, one of your personal planets in your birth chart, then Pluto becomes a very personal planet to you. And your life may be marked by very Plutonian themes, or you may have a very Plutonian personality. That varies from chart to chart. That's why, it's always good to get your chart done at least once with an astrologer and to have a one-on-one reading. I would love to do it for you. If you want to contact me for a reading, I'm going to put a link in the description of my YouTube for how to book a reading with me. But in the meantime and in between time, I'm actually posting this video after the conjunction happened. And normally I like to come in before the transits happen to do a video. But, astrology is just as useful as a reflective tool as it is for a forecasting tool. And the point of astrology isn't to forecast. That's just a side effect that happens as a result of knowing astrology and studying astrology. But I digress. I want to talk about this Sun-Pluto conjunction because it's very interesting at the time in history that it happened, particularly in America, with the inauguration of Donald Trump happening just the day before. And even though that's an American presidential inauguration, it really affects the entire world because of America's position in the world and because of Donald Trump's his politics. It's definitely going to affect the whole world that he's been inaugurated. And it's just the astrological timing is just so exact. Like, how can the planets and the stars be so in line with our human scheduling? And I opened this video by saying seeding of a revolution. And I do believe that the things that are happening right now this week are planting the seeds for a revolution in this country. And while I'm using America as an example because that's where I am, this is happening all over the world, right? These kinds of events are taking place all over the world, and they're taking place on the collective scale, and they're taking place in our personal lives, because we are entering a completely new era in life. We're entering a completely new way of living in the world. And Aquarius has so much to do with the future ideal and how to make things better, which is so interesting because Donald Trump ran on the Make America Great Again. And there's this future ideal, but it's also connected to a past ideal of how America used to be. And that's so much what the Aquarian energy is about. It's about, you know, just a faraway ideal, you know, and it's rather than being in the present moment in a way, but let me not go down that rabbit hole. I have to keep myself on path because or else the video will get too long. And you know, I've really been like not doing as many videos as I should be doing because I'm always striving for perfection, and like I have to look just right or say all the right things. And I'm just really trying to just take a stab at this one and just do it because I think that this is an important topic to talk about astrologically. And I just want to kind of fucking, excuse my language, relax and not put so much pressure on myself like I have to do this perfect video, and just kind of say what's on my mind about this. And what I want to say is that it's interesting for a few reasons. Like on the one hand, you know, Pluto is god of the underworld. The sun is solar figures. Solar figures are world leaders. And then Pluto, god of the underworld, like they are underworld figures or very powerful people, powerful entities. And sometimes Pluto is billionaires, plutocrats. So it's interesting that we saw this whole row of billionaires who are, you know, supporting, funding, and the presidency and aligning with Trump, you know. And you have Biden on his way out talking about the oligarchy that's forming. And then, you know, we see it at the inauguration. And then the next day you see like Elon Musk doing like the Hail Hitler sign, like a crazy person. And you see these things unfolding with billionaires and the world leader and plutocrats and underworld figures all aligning. And this is like what's bubbling under. Pluto is also very subterranean. It's what's beneath the surface. It's what we can't see. It's the seed that's being planted that's going to grow. And eventually it's going to force us to confront our shadow. But right now it's at 1 degree. You know, it entered Aquarius November 19th and it was at 0 degrees. And it's this first conjunction with the sun, this first Aquarius season. This is going to be an annual conjunction every year, seeding what the next chapter is of this evolution or this revolution. I think that both words apply. I think on a collective scale, this is the seeding of a revolution. In our personal lives, I would look at where 1 degree Aquarius is in your chart. And what is happening this week is the seeding of an evolution that's going to take place in that area of your life. We all have all the signs. We all have all of the planets in our chart somewhere. They're arranged differently. And that's the geometry of our lives. That's the sheet music of our lives. That's how we're moving through this in this current incarnation. And again, working with an astrologer can take you through where that's happening in your chart. Obviously, it's going to be more personal for people who have sun, moon, or rising in the early degrees of Aquarius or Leo or Taurus or Scorpio. If you have planets in the early degrees of Leo, it's going to be very oppositional for you, probably. If you have planets in the early degrees of Aquarius, it's going to be very personal for you. If you have planets in the early degrees of Taurus or Scorpio, it's going to be a situation that is requiring a challenge or a conflict that's requiring action that's coming up. Pluto transits tend to be 3 years when they hit one of your personal planets in nature, from the build up to the peak to the, receding of the wave. They're very deeply transformational. They're profoundly transformational. They can be regenerative. They can be empowering, but they have a way of introducing us to our kind of making us, cry uncle. They show us our powerlessness to teach us our power. I've seen people become extremely wealthy and famous from Pluto transits too. So Pluto can work in that way. People can really rise to a powerful position in a Pluto transit. Hades, the underworld, is where the treasures lie. And so it can be associated with extreme wealth at times. But a lot of times Pluto is going to make us face our deepest fears, our deepest shadow, our deepest grief, our, parts of ourselves that we aren't aware of or don't normally look at, what's suppressed, what's repressed. Pluto in our charts has been referred to as the seed self that will grow over a lifetime. We don't know exactly when it will sprout. I mean, in charts, we can see it through transits. You can see the development of the Pluto over a lifetime, but it's very slow. All the planets in the chart move at different rhythms. The moon is changing signs every 2.5 days. Mercury will zip through a sign in 3 weeks if there's not a retrograde. Same with Venus. Mars is 6 weeks unless there's a retrograde. Jupiter takes a year in a sign. Saturn takes 2.5 years in a sign. So, all the planets are moving at different speeds. And so each planet represents different cycles of our lives that are all happening at any one given time. And that's the nature of our lives. We're always in the midst of a cycle. Like, even if you don't know astrology, the cycle of the day, the cycle of the week, the cycle of the month, the cycles of the years. That we're existing within all of those varying cycles all at once. And that's what creates the quality of the time. That's what creates our schedule and our plans and all of that. And astrology is basically nature's clock that our man-made clock is really pretty much set to, although most people don't make that connection. But astrology is very, very natural and very much something that we're kind of keyed into in our everyday lives without being aware of it. But I digress again. I just wanted to say that look at January 21st. Think about what you're going through, what's on your mind, what are you thinking about, what's bubbling up for you, what are your desires, what are your concerns or fears or worries. Where is it in your life that you are growing or evolving, or the closest people to you, what's going on. And you might get hints of where this seed of evolution is being planted that is really going to take form over this next 20-year cycle. In terms of, Pluto always comes in and demolishes and destroys and clears out and then builds something up new. So, yeah. And that is, I think, what's going on in America right now. I think that Trump has come into office and he's got his team and they've got these big ideas. And right now, a lot of people are in a lot of fear and a lot of, distress over some of the, executive orders he's making in the first couple of days. And, it's bringing up a lot of fear. It's bringing up a lot of grief. These are Plutonian things. And from that, it's also seeding, a revolution, I believe. And that's just that has nothing to do with my personal politics of what I want. At this point, this is an astrology video. It's not a political video. I really, at this point, have no dog in the fight. I'm looking at it from an astrological perspective. I'm looking at it from a spiritual perspective of our evolution as humans and what are the lessons that we're here to learn. Because I believe that anything that happens on God's green earth, if it's written in the cosmos, that it must be meant to be, and that there is something that we are supposed to learn for the evolution of our souls as humanity, for the evolution of our progress as humanity. And I do believe that what is happening now is planting the seeds for a revolution. And that is not just because of who it is, but it's because of what I see in the astrology. Uranus will be entering Gemini in July. That is where Uranus is in America's chart. It is very much associated with revolution and past Uranian returns for America. Pluto being in Aquarius is, America had its Pluto return when Pluto was at the end of Capricorn, and that was the destruction of the old world. We saw the monuments coming down. We saw a lot of history that had been repressed and suppressed coming up to be recognized and dealt with. There was a big come to Jesus meeting for the country in a way. And now, as Pluto moves into Aquarius, we're coming to the anniversaries. Pluto in Aquarius happened when there was, 248 years ago, 250 years ago. It was the, signing of the Constitution. The Civil War happened under Pluto and Aquarius. The French Revolution happened under Pluto and Aquarius. The Haitian slave revolt happened under Pluto and Aquarius. So we're having a full circle moment to all of these very big turning points in history coming now. And between how Pluto is placed and what's going on with Uranus, to me and to many astrologers, it's not just me, it looks like revolution is on the horizon. And not just in this country, not just in America, but I'm in America, so I'm speaking about it from that standpoint right now. But I'm looking at France, I'm looking at, China and Russia and Haiti and Mexico. All over the world, Canada, there are big Korea, Syria, Israel, Gaza, Africa, the Congo, the Sudan. There is a big turning point happening in world history, and it's bubbling up all over the planet. And you can look at what's going on with each country this week, if you want, as well as looking at in your own personal life, in your own personal chart, if you want, and see the seeding of the revolution or the seeding of the evolution. With Aquarius, we're also dealing with the technology. We're charting new territory. We've got AI, we've got robots, we've got all of these advancements. We've got cryptocurrency. We've got all of these ways that the technology is changing the way we live on the planet as well, which is affecting the whole entire planet. So it's also revolutionizing the way that we live. So revolution in this sense is, yes, there is the revolution of the pushback against governments and power structures. And I do think that that's part of it, but that's not all of it. It's not all scary and fighting and bad. Some of it is revolutionizing the way that we live in the world, like great advancements in medicine and regenerative medicine and frequency healing and, health measures and art and education. And, there's going to be some really great advancements as well. Like, this technology is revolutionizing the way that we live in the world and the way that we understand ourselves within the world, in both some positive ways, but then there's always a shadow as well. That's just the nature of life on planet Earth. Nothing is ever all good or all bad. It is built into the construct that there's always a counterpoint. And but aside from that, there's also the revolution of consciousness that's going on, the revolution of how we understand ourselves as human beings, as eternal spirit souls, and how the technology is even going to reflect some of that back to us, and the intersection between consciousness and technology that's going to take place. There's some really exciting things that are happening. So there's a revolution of consciousness, there's a revolution in politics, there's a revolution in technology. There are all of these different revolutions and evolutions that are happening in this Aquarian era. And this January 21st moment of the Sun conjoining Pluto is such an important moment in history, because it is really, it's a seeding moment. And I think it's foreshadowing in many ways where these revolutions or evolutions are going to stem from. What is the point of the seed budding and growing, and what kind of tree, what kind of fruit it will eventually come to bear. And so if you're interested in looking at where that is in your personal chart, definitely contact me for a reading and we can take a look at that. Again, this is something that it's a slower moving, longer process. It's happening over time. This isn't an overnight thing, but it's still very meaningful and very significant, and going to have a long run impact on our lives, on the politics of the country, on the politics of the world, on how we live in the world on many different levels in all aspects of the culture. And so it's something that's interesting to look at. Not everybody wants to look at that kind of stuff. Some people do. It's interesting and fascinating to me. I would love to take you through it if it's something you're interested in. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. I will put a link in the description. You can email me to get on the calendar. You can book a reading through my website. And yeah, I just wanted to get on and say a couple quick words about this. If you are, I wanted to say in kind of a quick way that, again, Aquarians are not the only people who are going through a Pluto transformation in the next 20 years. It's going to hit all Aquarians at some point in the next 20 years, but also Leos, also Taurus, and also Scorpio. And first up to bat are people who have planets at 0 to 4 degrees, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio. Your Pluto transit is underway. If you have multiple planets in those signs, you may have a longer Plutonian transit, or it might come and you get a break and then another one. It all depends on how the planets are arranged in your chart. And it's not just if you have the sun, moon, or rising in Aquarius, Taurus, Leo. It's also if you have the midheaven, even if you have Venus or Mars or Saturn or Jupiter. So if you have a lot of fixed placements in your chart, definitely a great time to get a reading with an astrologer. And I would love to be the one to read for you. So contact me. Link in bio, link in description to contact me. And now I'm going to leave you with a tarot pull before I go, and it is Temperance, the balance between heart and mind, the balance between emotion and intellect, the dawn of a new day. This is a very Aquarian card, the water bearer, and the crown chakra is growing and accessing our higher selves, and, you know, connecting with nature. Yeah, Aquarian era is such a technological time that it's so important for us to ground ourselves with nature, with the earth, and with the water of the earth, like, and to, you know, with the sunlight and the fresh air, and, you know, just connect to our heart chakra and to our higher selves through these, you know, somewhat tumultuous times in the world. But I think there's going to be also a lot of unexpected gifts that come from some of the darkness that we're experiencing. A lot of creativity, a lot of fertility, a lot of growth. And oh, I could say so much more about the Temperance card. I love the Temperance card. I love that I pulled the Temperance card right now at the end of this reading, because I think it does offer a lot of hope. And I do think that there is a lot of hope. Even though Pluto is a dark guy, there's always a counterpoint. And Pluto does tend to deliver a gift at the end of the transit, because again, the underworld is where the riches are, but you have to go down in there. You have to face your fears. You have to face your grief. You have to face your shadow in order to receive the gift, the jewel that's the gift at the end when you come to the other side. It's a very regenerative transit at the same time. You know, death, rebirth, phoenix rising from the ashes, you know. So I'm happy that I just got on here and did this video, because I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself about doing these videos, and I'm behind, but I'm going to start putting out a lot more content again now. So thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more videos to come. Bye.